This is a horse. And this is me standing next to the horse that we filmed in the coolest motion array commercial yet. But everything went horribly wrong.
That went south so fast!
There's a reason they tell you never to work with animals or children, or animal children. You may have seen our newest motion array commercial, and if not, it's here and it's hilarious and I love it. And I'm actually in it, so go check it out and see if you can actually find me. And I'm gonna show you exactly how we made this commercial and how you can learn from that experience to create something exactly like it. Because the raw footage is over at motionarray.com and we're running a contest to see who can make the best horse commercial for real cash money. But more about that at the end of the video. Now, you probably think that working with animals is really cool, and it is. Just get a good cinematographer and point a camera at an animal and it already looks super cool. But it starts to get really challenging once you want to make that animal do anything. You know, like run down an alleyway with real people only feet away from it, running across a picturesque bridge, and even jumping over more than $100,000 of camera equipment. Oh gosh, that was really stressful. So here's the question. How do you get that animal to do anything? I have enough difficulty with a 100-pound dog, let alone a 1,500-pound horse. Well, there's three main things to keep in mind, and these are all gonna be helpful filmmaking tips, even if you never film an animal in your life. And it starts with the storyboard and playing to the strengths of the animal. The director of this commercial, Sharon, intended from the very beginning to have the horse do one thing: run. That's it. All the cool stuff that's happening around the horse doesn't require the horse to do anything except what it was born to do. Quite literally a one-trick pony. As soon as it's introduced, it's running. Next shot, running. On a computer, running. You get the idea. What this allows you to do is create consistency with the animal. The horse wranglers were fantastic, and they were magicians with getting the horse to run exactly where they needed to. Because they spent years training the horse, running through drills, gaining its trust, and also that it can just do one thing on camera: run. By allowing the horse and the wranglers to hyper-focus on run from point A to point B, you can then set up all your equipment, dial in your lighting, get your framing and your focus, bring in the animal to give you a rough estimate of what's going to happen, and then you're ready to do it for real, making the whole process a whole lot easier to get exactly what it is you're looking for. But even with all that, you're still gonna need tip number 2 to make it possible.
Action!
You're gonna need to do a lot of takes. Even with everything dialed in, you're still gonna need to do a bunch of takes over and over and over again, because here's the thing, the horse does what the horse does. You can't exactly sit it down and be like,
hey listen man, I need you to run like 82% of the speed from the last take, and also you were like a hair out of frame before, to try being a little bit closer to camera. Okay, let's do another take!
There's none of that. You need to adapt to the animal, not the other way around. And this is especially true if you're moving with the horse. So you might be wondering now, you said everything went horribly wrong. What did you mean by that? Well, that brings us to tip number 3, and before I tell you what that tip is, let me tell you what went wrong. The director had this idea in the storyboards to have the horse running down this beautiful alleyway, looking directly into camera, and there's rainbows and Pegasus wings and stuff added in post. But the first step was actually capturing a take where the horse was running directly at the camera, which requires a quad driving down a road really fast and for the horse to feel comfortable enough to actually chase it. So they did a couple drills and got a couple of tests out of the way, and then this happened. The horse did a big old nope and didn't want to do it. So unfortunately, the tough decision was made that this shot was no longer safe to do, which meant that this entire scene had to be scrapped. So what's the tip here? Flexibility. Working with animals presents so many variables and so many unknowns that you have to be flexible enough in case you don't actually get what you want. That flexibility comes in a variety of forms, and one way is to be quick on your feet and to be able to come up with a solution with the materials around you. So thankfully, the drone operator that had been filming with us earlier that day was still around and could capture some B-roll around the area to fill in the missing time of this shot. But there's also another form of flexibility. After everything had wrapped and back at the editing bay, one of the editors noticed that during the setup for this scene, the cameras were actually rolling during rehearsal. And so this editor came up with the idea that, hey, it's not perfect, it's not long enough, but if I just slow down this footage a little bit, and if I can mask out and erase the horse trainer in the background, I think that this shot can actually work. And so he tried it, and guess what? That shot was able to be salvaged and made it into the final cut of the commercial. which meant that due to the flexibility and experimentation of one of the editors, the original vision of the commercial was actually able to come to light exactly the way it was intended. And that's why this shot is so meaningful in the commercial, because it just goes to show that even when it feels like the world is against you and everything is going wrong, having a plan at the beginning, getting a lot of takes, and having flexibility when things go wrong can help you to make something that's truly awesome. And now with all the hard work out of the way, we wanted to give you the chance to try to make something amazing for yourself. We took a bunch of the footage from this commercial and we put it on motionarray.com, including this shot of a horse on a green screen. And I've left a link to those in the description below. And we're seeing who can create the best horse commercial using this footage for a real cash prize of $1,000. And not only is there the footage that we use in this commercial, all of the motion graphics and things like rainbows and Pegasus wings, those are things that are actually from motionarray.com as well. So we're not asking you to do anything that we haven't done ourselves already. In fact, we're quite literally just asking you to do the same thing that we did. Just make sure that your commercial is less than 60 seconds in length and then upload it to either Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube with the hashtag MotionArrayHorseCommercial. And next week, I'm gonna be showing you a video of how you can take 2D assets and put them into a 3D world like we did in this commercial. But until then, get started, get creative, and I can't wait to see all the amazing things you're gonna create.